Hey friends! Today is September 9th, which means tomorrow is Are You OK Day. Listen, I understand that Are You OK Day aims to do something that's very good. But as someone with pretty severe mental health problems, who's struggled with depression and anxiety, and last year at the time of Are You OK Day, I was pretty suicidal. This may come across really counterintuitive because I'm currently doing a charity called Liptember that raises money and awareness for mental health. It's for women's mental health, but it's still a mental health charity. And I hate Are You OK Day. Does that make me a hypocrite? Here's the main differences I see between Liptember and Are You OK Day. Liptember runs for a whole month. The money that Liptember raises goes to actual mental health services that directly help people struggling with mental illnesses. This includes the Royal Women's Hospital, Lifeline, the Jean Hiles Organisation, Batia, Pretty You Foundation, which encourages self-esteem and positive self-image in young girls, as well as encouraging them to see their personal value beyond their looks. There's also the Magpie Nest, which is related to housing in Collingwood. Yes, I'm also doing an awareness campaign, but Are You OK only raises money for Are You OK. They raise money for more ads and more morning teas, and my money is going to doctors and psychologists and therapy and the call lines at Lifeline and things that actually make a difference. He's chewing my fairy lights. Roast him. When you're in the midst of the deepest depths of depression, when you actually are feeling suicidal or close to it, being asked if you're okay is the worst. It's the worst. And I distinctly remember when I was in hospital, it wasn't even Are You OK Day, I was just in hospital for my mental health, and I got really frustrated because 6 times a day, your nurses come in and say, are you okay? How are you doing? How are you feeling? Every patient you see, how are you doing? How are you feeling? And it's like, bro, I'm in a fucking psych ward. I don't feel great. Do you understand how this day comes across that way? So I've done some research. My main argument really is that, yes, Are You OK Day is doing a good thing because is promoting important conversations, it is reducing stigma, and it is promoting awareness. But that's kind of it. That's kind of the end of my list. It encourages you to seek help. It encourages you to encourage your friends to seek help. But the money's not going anywhere. The money doesn't go anywhere. My reasons against Are You OK Day. It's extremely stressful as a mentally ill person to know that, okay, on this day, I'm going to be potentially put on the spot by literally any person that I come across, including acquaintances in the workplace, random people. It's not the asking that I have a problem with. I'm all for asking your friends if they're okay. I'm all for checking in on your friends. But the context, the method, the way in which you do this is so important. I don't want to be sitting in my workplace and have my boss come up and hand me a cupcake. Are you okay? No, bitch, I'm depressed because of my stupid fucking job. Serious? The money doesn't go anywhere, and a lot of companies use it as an opportunity to kind of tick the boxes and say, oh yes, we care a lot about the well-being of our staff. Look, we had cupcakes. Oh, you need a day off because you're too stressed? Oh, you need to change your hours so you can see your psychologist? No, we can't do that for you. The hypocrisy is a norm. That's kind of my main point, so let's get into the research that I did. So I found 2 journal articles, which is important to me as someone who went to university, peer-reviewed journals. We want high quality sources for our research. From the International Journal of Mental Health Systems, I have this article titled Australian Are You OK Day Campaign, Improving Helping Beliefs, Intentions and Behaviours by Anna M. Ross and Bridget Basilios. This article talked a lot about the statistics of awareness and also helping behaviours of people in Australia about the Are You OK campaign. So this included whether or not they were aware of the campaign, whether they participated in a campaign, and whether they perceived it as being helpful or unhelpful. According to this article, Although not a direct campaign message, campaign exposure may have had a positive consequence of improving individual help seeking. There was some evidence to suggest that there was an increased rate of people seeking help immediately following Are You OK Day. This article also stated that Are You OK has been successful in increasing the awareness of its campaign message and is encouraged to continue its efforts to positively impact the Australian population. As the positive effects of the campaign are enhanced by participation, future campaigns should aim to increase participation in demographic groups who have reported the lowest rates by developing innovative ways to encourage each group. These target groups include the 55 to 64 and 65 plus age groups, as well as males in general due to their lower reporting of awareness and helping behaviours compared to females. Now, I do apologise, all of these statistics-based articles do use binary language. They record things in terms of man and woman. I can't do much about it. Another article was from 2016 called Stimulating Community Action for Suicide Prevention, Findings on the Effectiveness of the Australian Are You OK campaign. And they stated in this article that involvement of the wider community in suicide prevention efforts is particularly important, given that people experiencing suicidal thoughts are among the least likely to seek help for their problems. So obviously this is part of the reasoning behind Are You OK Day, is that, well, if people who are struggling don't reach out for help, then we need to create an environment where it's easier to check on your friends or check on people who might be behaving slightly differently. So yes, the attitude of trying to create a more positive environment where it's totally normal and acceptable to check on your friends, see how they're doing, and for them to openly say whether or not they're doing okay. That is a good thing. That should be encouraged. But I really don't think that having one day a year where you wear yellow and eat a sausage is really going to do it. Yes, isolation is one of the biggest factors, and guess what? The most isolating thing this year has been everything. The context of 2020 makes Are You OK Day all the more important, but it's not a day. It should never be a day. It should just be, like, I don't understand why they have a campaign that's just to raise money to run one awareness day a year. Where the fuck is the money going? It's a not-for-profit and all they do is awareness campaigns. Where is the money going? Who's donating to these people? So I've also collected a few more anecdotal sources because mental health, quite frankly, is not researched enough. And also, it's very subjective, so it kind of is important to take individual perspectives into account. There's an article from Lifehacker where the author suggests the trick is to make an environment where people feel comfortable talking. The focus should be on getting the story told, not convincing someone to ask a question that they're not prepared to hear the answer for. This is another big problem that I have with Are You OK Day. It's putting the onus on regular, everyday people to handle mental health, which requires medical expertise in order to effectively treat and care for. Having conversations with your friends is really good. Being open about mental health is always a good thing. Always, 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 always. That's why I do this. This is why Liptember is so important to me, because I understand that. That's extremely valuable to acknowledge that, you know, these experiences are normal and a lot of people experience them. I'm amazed by the fact that I know people who don't have mental illness more than the fact that I know people who do. Like, how do you just not hate yourself? How do you just not freak out about everything? Another helpful quote I got from a Medium article by Jenny Hill, and she said, "Imagine if we had a day each year when we all went around asking cancer patients if they were okay, yet didn't fund any practical medical help for them or give them any hope. The idea is laughable, and yet the analogy is real." So this WordPress article from the author Hal Incandenza, I really like the way they phrase this. Unfortunately, by shifting the focus of suicide prevention away from the currently suicidal, it can inadvertently trivialize hellish experiences and alienate the very people it aims to support. For a person new to states of depression or anxiety, a familiar face, earnestly checking in could very well prevent these feelings from becoming their new normal. But if suicidal thinking or chronic depression are your personal demons, then all the in-your-face positivity can be easily misinterpreted as, I don't understand how to help you, but this feels right to me. So what do we need to do? Okay? I'm gonna shit all over Are You OK Day, but what do I want? Well, the current system is you go speak to your GP, they give you a referral, then you go speak to a psychologist, a therapist, a psychiatrist, whatever may be required at that point in time. There's also hospital. Some of them will offer outpatient programs. Some of them are good about promoting their outpatient programs. My hospital is. So what I want to see is not more, are you okay? What I want to see is more funding and change and support for healthcare, for the industry that actually supports people. Because a lot of people who commit suicide have already been in the system and have been for years. So clearly, if we're just sending people into the system, it's not fucking working, is it? I'm not gonna lie, I did not read this whole 100-page document, but I did download the Australian Medical Association, Victoria, submission to the Royal Commission into Victoria's mental health system. This was published in July 2019. And just a few key points from this document. The AMA, the Australian Medical Association, recommended 3 main points of improvement. So this was number 1, evidence-based and cost-effective funding for mental health services. Number 2, fully funded public mental health services, including access to outpatient care by psychiatrists. And 3, integrated and accessible services and systems for prevention, diagnosis, early intervention, and management of mental illnesses. So according to this document from the Australian Medical Association, in the Greater Melbourne area, there are 12 public hospitals and 8 private hospitals with psychiatric wards. We acknowledge that there are fewer mental health services in regional and rural areas of the state. The average length of stay in Victoria's acute psychiatry public hospital units is just over 9 days, but it takes 2 to 4 weeks for any psychiatric treatment to be effective for severe acute psychiatric illness. Effective treatment includes biological, psychological, and social treatment, known as the biopsychosocial model. Most psychiatric medications take about 3 to 4 weeks to show a strong clinical effect. Most people, especially in public hospitals, are only staying for less than 2 weeks. That's not enough time to solve shit. Let alone being suicidal, are you kidding me? Even with my intensive TMS treatment, that was 4 weeks. So there's also a category of people who are considered the missing middle. People with severe psychiatric issues, but not severe risk factors. So if you are not a risk to others or yourself, you won't be hospitalized. And so the only people who can get into public hospitals are people who are at critical state, that need help right now. So if you're kind of like, I'm not doing well, I need some support, but I guess I'm kind of okay. I can still do my job, I can still live my life, I'm just not happy and struggling in other ways, and well, if you're in the public system, too bad, you don't really get very much. My point is that it's really important to make these connections, it's really important to check on your friends, but I don't see this day as being a big factor in that, at least not in my life, not in my circle. But I'm in a demographic that already has pretty high levels of awareness of this. Yes, more needs to be done to break stigma. Yes, we need to be breaking down these boundaries for those demographics that don't have as high levels of awareness as, a young woman like I do. We need to raise awareness among men. We need to raise awareness among older people, older Australians who maybe never had the chance earlier in their life to openly discuss these issues. Like, I do want to acknowledge the fact that things have become more open. Things have definitely gotten a lot better, but we still have a long way to go, and I just don't think that Are You OK Day is hitting the nail on the head. Does that make me a hypocrite? Maybe, but when I'm depressed, there is nothing I want less than for someone I don't know particularly well to ask me if I'm okay. In conclusion, check on your friends. Please, please speak up when you need help. Speak to anybody. Speak to your friends. Speak to your family. Speak to your doctor. Anybody that you feel you can trust. Anybody you feel comfortable with. Find a good Facebook group with good, supportive, kind soul humans. They exist. I have met some really fantastic people through the internet. Internet friends count. Reach out to your friends. Seek help. Speak to a doctor. Think about what treatment options might work for you. Take that first step because I promise you it is worth it. And no, one day is not gonna fix anything, but we gotta fucking try something. Please stay safe. Take care of yourselves. Take care of your friends. Lockdown will end. We will survive. If you would like to donate to support my Liptember campaign for women's mental health and to support services like Lifeline, the Royal Women's Hospital, Jean Hiles and Batia, then please do go to liptember.com.au/melody-munro to donate. Regardless of whether or not you can give me money to this cause, I truly appreciate all of the support that I have received. Every message, like, comment, it all really, really does mean a lot to me. So thank you everybody so much for helping me get through the first week of Liptember. Hail yourself!